The following podcast is it's another podcast we did.
The following is an archived podcast presented by the Branson and Hudson Foundation for Podcast Recovery. This podcast is entitled Aphrodite's Labyrinth, Demystifying the Female Sex, / The Heart of the Wolf, / The Wolf Den, / The Heart of the Wolf's Den, / Wolf Hour. This is the first and only episode of the podcast. Welcome to episode 1.
Welcome to Aphrodite's Labyrinth. This is your
Wait,
host.
hold on a second. Wait, Aphrodite's Labyrinth. I thought we were calling it the Heart of the Wolf.
We talked about it, but I don't think we ever decided. I feel like
but it sounds like to me like Aphrodite's Labyrinth, like they're in control, and that's not true. That's the opposite of what we're trying to say.
they have the illusion of control. It's Aphrodite's Labyrinth, meaning some lecherous man gets to go in there and whatever's in that. It's a metaphor for a vagina.
Well,
Like, you got that right.
I get that, but in a labyrinth, there's a minotaur that controls the labyrinth.
And then there's going to be a subtitle that says "Demystifying the Fairer Sex."
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to. Okay.
Well, welcome to. Well, here's what we're doing. We'll just say it. I'll introduce it the other way, and then we'll have this discussion offline, and then we'll talk about it. And we're going to edit all of this out. All right.
Okay. All right.
So I'll start it over, and I'm going to do. All right. Here I go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heart of the Wolf. This is your host, Big Bangers, here with my co-host,
Destiny. Thanks for having me.
Destiny. I know we got a lot of buds from the message boards here. Why don't you spell it out so they're sure who you are? D6STANY, but the A is an inverted A. It's a V, all caps. All right, so we're moving on to our field guide about how we did this today, how we did this weekend. We are to pick up artists who have been having sex for hundreds of days, and we're here as
Many
a service
hours.
to you. The amount of time we've put on the clock, kissing and touching and fingering, it's just like, we know what we're talking about here, guys. We know what to do. We know what the women want. It's like a Mel Gibson thing. We know what they want. We're here to tell you, right?
This isn't our first rodeo. The movie with Luke Perry, 8 seconds. For me, it's like 8 minutes.
Is that how long you have sex?
It's longer actually, but
I just didn't get the joke otherwise.
Oh, well,
We're gonna edit this out too, so we'll do that. We'll do the. Either way, we got the chops, buddy. All right, so you're in the right place if you're looking for tips on love and lust, more specifically. So let's get straight to it. Let them know what we were up to this weekend. Destiny, tell us, how'd your field guide go?
all right. So just to give you some visuals of how I go out when I'm working, gaming as we call it. One thing that's one of my signatures is I wear shackles on my wrists with a bit of the chain link that's still attached. It's sort of like I've escaped a dungeon, and it just shows people I will not be chained down, and I will not be locked up. So that's one of my number one signature accessories. Another thing that I always have on me is I wear an amulet that is a silver Ouroboros with jewel red eyes. And an Ouroboros is an ancient symbol of a snake or a serpent sucking itself off. It represents...
It means medicine.
It means life and death. It means loss and rebirth. It's an infinite cycle, nature, etc. In our case, it's the need to conquer sluts. So that's something I always have on myself. So just to give you the visual idea of what it's like, what are some things that you have maybe that help make you stand out to women or targets?
Well, I have two distinct approaches, two styles that I like to master, just in case you get a certain type of girl, to switch it up. And, I have my soft style and I have my strong style. And if I'm going out soft style, I like to put a little bit of like scarecrow straw in my sleeves so that people just will come up and ask me questions of why I have straw there. If I'm a farmer, it's sticking out and I'm itchy. What's this for? And, I'll have that. I'll usually have a button up shirt and I just have the one button at the bottom put in. And I'll have a big fake gold necklace that goes down to about the middle of my belly button. And I have a lot of fake tattoos. And I'll usually have that'll be a dragon or a mosquito or something cool, something that probably means like a Chinese day of the year, whatever they do. But usually that, and then I wear just like some lifted boots to make me look much taller, about a 3-4 inch lift.
What are you standing at right now, height wise?
I'm with the lifts, I'm 5'6".
Oh, awesome. Well, I will say that the hay is an interesting approach. I hadn't thought of that because, some women may suffer from hay fever, for instance. So when they become near you, they might start breaking out in hives and their eyes might start tearing up. And then you can offer to take them to urgent care.
Well, usually what I do in that case has happened a couple times, and I've gotten some women really sick. But what I do is, in order to show them that you kind of are this big, burly, tough, real man's man, what you do is you tell them that it's not your problem. And just because you don't like my hay, I mean, honestly, you being this weird about my outfit, you should be apologizing to me. Is generally what I say,
Right.
Subconsciously, like, I'm tore up. I feel bad. I hate to see these girls in pain, but I got to conquer them also. So they are something that I need, So
I agree.
It's a give and take.
Speaking of that, some people, visual is different. The hay, it can affect you visually. It can affect other senses. Like I said, allergies, stuff like that. For me, I have something I use is, I know the whole market, I believe, for colognes is just so inadequate. It's so inefficient. There are some okay scents out there, but I don't find any of them nearly as satisfactory as I'd like.
The biggest problem I've always had with cologne is just none of them are strong enough.
Right. And I believe some women feel the same way. So I think what I had to do, and I do now, is I make my own scents. And I make scents I believe women find truly desirable. My favorite scent that I've made, I won't reveal the entire recipe, but I will say that it does contain olive oil, lavender, Frank's Red Hot, and gasoline.
That sounds good to me.
It's strong. It's very strong.
I mean, you could marinate a pork steak in that if you wanted to. I'd eat it.
You could. It's called Fibonacci, and you can buy it on my site for 100 USD.
Flat. All right, can I ask you this? Where did the name Fibonacci come from?
I'd rather not elaborate on that. That's kind of personal.
If I recall correctly, isn't Fibonacci that famous joke clown who was told to see himself by a very bad doctor?
He could have the same name as the man I'm thinking of, but the man I'm thinking of is just a famous comedian. He hit watermelons with a big hammer.
Gallagher.
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I... Well,
you can rename it to Gallagher. I mean, you just got to change it on the website. And can you tell everybody what your website is? Just to get a little plug in there.
It's my name at .co.uk. I couldn't get the American or .com like I would have liked, but you got to work with what you get, as we do. We compromise, we improvise, we make it work, and we wing it. That's what we do in this business. So one of my biggest tips, one of my top tips for rookies, guys getting into the field, is a lot of guys will hold doors for women and open car doors and, bar doors, club doors, whatever. Don't do that. Don't hold doors, don't open doors. You should go in before her, but don't hold the door for her. She should be expected to open it herself. Because she hasn't earned it to have you open it for her yet.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, I know that she should open herself, but what if she's following so closely, probably subconsciously because you're a leader, that she just naturally is able to slip in without touching the door? Would you consider maybe jerking the door shut before she's able to get in? Or
if she tried to slip in, quickly, I'd probably shut it.
Would you make eye contact when you do it, or would you make it seem like an accident?
No, absolutely. She needs to know.
Yeah. I mean, that is something. It's like, why should I open the door for you? Who are you to me? You should be opening. What's next? I open a door for you. I'm just going to be giving your feet sponge baths, rubbing them, kissing them.
Right. It comes back to, these feminists, I agree with a lot of the stuff they're saying, actually. I consider myself a feminist because I shouldn't have to open the door for her. And she shouldn't expect me to.
And I don't want to pay for their stuff.
That's
I don't want to treat them nice. I don't want to pay for their stuff. I don't want to listen to their ideas. I don't want to talk to them. For the most part, if it's just this giant, feral being inside of me that constantly is pushing my dick to get hard and forcing me to be around, a type of people that generally wants to suck you dry, if it wasn't for this intense pink, red, purple-ish dick that sits between my legs, I'd probably never leave the house.
Right. I'm the same way.
All right, let's get into
it's kind of our burden. It's kind of our burden to carry. I'm sorry. Let's get into it.
It's definitely a burden, and I would say more specifically, it's the white man's burden. All right, so let's get into our inspirations as pickup artists. I know that that every kind of guy likes in this field models himself, doesn't copy, doesn't envy, just models themselves after someone they had seen, somebody. And my inspiration as a pickup artist has always been the alien from the sitcom TV show Alf, the titular Alf. Now, the thing about Alf is, was there ever a single time in Alf's life where he didn't know what to say? Did Alf ever get caught off guard? Did Alf ever look the fool? Alf was perhaps 2 feet tall, but he was the largest man in the room. And for that reason, I like to think of myself as an Alf when I'm there talking to women. He likes eating cats. Now, I won't be the type of gross man that makes the obvious joke about eating pussy. I'm not going to do that. But Alf eating cats was a metaphor for eating pussy. It's just there. It's 100% there. He ate pussy.
Absolutely.
Right. Which, I respect sexually and your ability to get there, but it's also something I refuse to do. But I respect that Alf was able to do it, He
just had that immeasurable wit.
Right. The soul of wit, as Shakespeare said. That's what Alf had. Alf was never at a loss for words. Alf was always out there. People were smiling at him. Women wanted him. Men wanted to be him. He had a spaceship. He lived with a family. He was hidden like a secret agent. Like, oh, is he dangerous? He's an alien. He's going to hurt me. Is he a dog? What is he? Does he eat dogs? You always want to carry that mystery around you, because women have their ideal man in mind, and the less they know about you, the more they'll just pretend they're that guy that's perfect for them. I'm against even telling women your real name. I go by the Big Banger. Women ask me what my name is.
You say the that Big
Banger.
Your name.
I'm the Big Banger. What
else do they want?
I usually say something like, I'm the Big Banger baby. And then something like, gotta have it.
I call you Big for short. It's fine with me.
Yeah. Or BB or double B. Sometimes I call you Destiny. Sometimes I call you the Six Man.
Or Des, D.
Like Des. That's nice.
Who are some of your more inspirations? Do you have any else?
I have 2 other ones that are one inspiration.
Okay.
The albino twins from The Matrix were this ethereal combat force. They didn't negotiate. They didn't ask questions. They attacked, or they relaxed. You never knew if they were friend or foe. When you first see them, they're smoking a hookah and they're wearing cool white leather trench coats. That inspired me to buy a white leather trench coat. And that inspired me to look for a friend in my area on Craigslist to dress up like them with me on Halloween. That inspired me. That inspired me to consider growing dreadlocks before I Googled it. And that seems hard.
And those two,
I was very interested.
They always kept their cool, like just level-headed. That was the coolest part.
And, we'll get into it later because I have more on them in the, I'm going to get into this now. A good advanced tip. Now, rookies, just don't try this yet. All right. But a lot of times if you're working within a 2 set of dudes going in for, you sometimes need necessarily a wingman to come in and kind of, level things out or take some of the, the other women away for you so you can get some one-on-one time. Now, a great 2 set is to do the "we are getting annoyed" type thing that the albino Matrix twins did. Right? You're going to talk at the exact same time as your buddy. You're going to say the same thing, and you're going to act like you're a singular entity. Women will think, what are these guys up to? How long can they keep this up? Are they being funny? Are they serious? And sometimes when I do it, I don't even know. Sometimes I close my eyes real hard and squeeze, and sometimes I feel like I am those albino twins. And my trigger finger just starts going crazy, and I think about shooting up the bar. But then I take a drink, and I breathe a little bit, and women realize from all that I'm a little intense, and, dangerous is sexy.
Those two, I mean, you're right. They're a prime example of how to do a double team. If you're going to go out, going out in groups with guys is great. I always recommend trying out being in a pack, as well as being a lone wolf, of course. But it's just that duo dynamic, yin and yang. Even you can play that off. It's always something that women don't expect, which is something that you always want to keep up that momentum.
Yeah. And sometimes you can approach, one woman with 2 guys, and you can start, pressuring her to call her friends and stuff like that. And women, they might go for that.
They need to be intimidated a little bit.
Right. In general,
even threatened.
Women need to be punished for their transgressions.
Can I talk a little bit about my inspirations?
Oh, please do.
So you had Alf, which we discussed. My first one I would like to mention has got to be, 1990s Winona Ryder. Starring in Tim Burton's Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, I think, is a perfect example of being unpredictable, which is what women want to see. They don't want to be with some boring old guy who just compliments them. They want to be with some insane psychopath, possibly insane.
Possibly undead, too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I like the idea of being undead because what do you have to lose? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Because you're already dead. And,
right.
even just on Flare Game, that suit, that black and white suit is on point. I mean...
don't even get me started. That's one reason why I dress the way I do.
Yeah, you're Beetlejuice inspired. Like every single like goth kid from the 90s. They just, they saw Beetlejuice and they're like, this makes sense.
You couldn't go anywhere in the 90s without you talk to women and you ask them who is the number one fictional character they would want to have sex with. It was always Beetlejuice or probably Mufasa.
Often. I mean, Rowdy Roddy Piper from They Live.
Coach Bombay from Mighty Ducks. What a dreamboat. I mean,
easy.
Guy works with kids.
You look at the type of men women like, it's a lot of like Kindergarten Cop. It's a lot of, the Big Chief from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's a lot of those guys that just exude this kind of, almost preternatural power, magical energy, that's just masculinity. It's almost like when they walk into the room, it stinks with pheromones. And even as a fellow male, I can tell, and that's what I want to achieve.
Right. And that brings me next to my second inspiration, coming from a primal nature, is my second, and he's probably, one of my number one fashion inspirations as well, is the famous Donkey Kong. He always
classic.
wore a tie. No matter what, he always wore a tie. He always wanted to look good, despite his animalistic nature.
Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Right. Which another thing would probably bring me to my conclusion of my number one inspiration, and I would say probably the most handsome man on earth. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'm cool with my sexuality. I can see if a guy is attractive. You have to be able to recognize these things if you want to be successful in the game. Most handsome man on earth, and the guy I look up to the most is probably Mark Cuban.
Oh,
owner of
easy.
the Dallas Mavericks.
Easy. That jawline.
He's just a baller. Just a baller. He does what he wants. He's a playboy.
He's got that blazer, right? And it's like, you're thinking, this guy's wearing a blazer. He's stuck up. And then look down. What do you see? Bam, blue jeans. Whoa, who's this guy? And then you look even further down. Whoa, shitty Jerry Seinfeld sneakers. Who's this guy think he is? He's unpredictable.
And he's closely associated with one of the most famous Dallas Mavericks players of all time, who is also, I happen to think, the most attractive basketball player of all time, Dirk Nowitzki.
Shawn Marion.
So it's like, how are you going to lose with these guys?
You
Shawn
can't.
Marion, too.
Shawn Marion.
How are you going to lose?
Oh, the best Maverick of all time. Easy to me. Say what you want about Dirk, but Shawn Marion, mwah. Shawn, when it comes to basketball, I'm a Shawn Marion, Caron Butler kind of guy.
Right. Well, we talk about our inspirations. What about our aspirations? What would we like to achieve? The ultimate goal? Where we want to go into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the ultimate goal of every pickup artist is different. Because some guys are just shy and want to learn how to talk to girls, right? Some guys want to conquer all women. Some guys just want to have a lot of sex. Some guys want to fall in love. For me, I just want people to stop asking me if I have sex and just assume that I do.
Well, we all want to achieve that, but we also have, despite us saying that we don't care about women, which we don't, you have to have some standards.
Right.
You have to have a dream girl. Do you have to have a certain woman you think is the most attractive or a type?
Let's do it this way, all right? Because I feel like once you start talking about that stuff with another person, it almost changes their answer. So let's do a 1, 2, 3 count, and then we're gonna say who we think the hottest woman of all time is. Just not even like dream, just the hottest babe of all time. All right.
Right. Just fire it out.
Right after 3. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Lola Bunny. Yeah. Easy. Lola Bunny. Easy.
It's not even a contest.
Not even a contest. Because, like, you look at Lola Bunny, and in that first time of Space Jam, and Bugs Bunny is even like, whoa, who's that?
Even Michael Jordan is like, oh, who is this?
Yeah,
MJ.
wearing these shorts. And then they're thinking, this is just some girl I can talk to. And then she shows she's tough and can dribble a ball, even though she obviously traveled. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
yeah, she traveled when she was doing a little
travel,
dribble.
but you can ignore it because you're too busy looking at her.
Yeah, because everybody's jaw is dropped at Lola, like this unbelievably, undeniably sexy, beautiful, gorgeous woman that's just there playing basketball.
Well, you look at her and you're like, she's a rabbit. Okay. And you're not supposed to like rabbits.
It's illegal,
you see, like,
but
her figure, you see her figure and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to want to fuck that rabbit.
Like that rabbit wants it. That's what I thought. When I first saw it, I was 11 years old. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And I actually stood up in the theater, right? And I was with my mom and my dad. I'm like, that rabbit wants it. And everybody started yelling and booing and throwing trash at me and pulled me down. But it's true. That rabbit wanted it.
And those people would look back now and they would agree with you. They would. And
only a true alpha pimp like Bugs could have landed that literal tail.
Well, Bugs is one of the first. He's just one of the original PUAs.
Right. He had controversial styles too because he frequently cross-dressed.
Oh yeah, he had outlandish techniques, but they worked.
I mean, he was just fighting for his life, and he would pretend to be a woman, and it would just it would get the male hunters going. the almost legally fucking brain dead hunters would go gaga for that guy.
Or, Daffy. He had a weird psychosexual thing for him, too.
Well, Daffy was clearly asexual.
You think so?
Yeah, but I don't know.
You think he had some kind of? You think he had like Asperger's or something?
Oh,
like that?
definitely. I mean, if you watch enough episodes, you can tell Daffy Duck's on the spectrum. Anytime he feels out of place in any kind of social thing, he just kind of spurgs out and just starts flipping out and yelling at stuff.
Yeah, he just has like these like panic attacks, and he just has these fits. And,
Yeah,
like, stomps his foot, and
honestly, like you can tell a lot about human nature from Looney Tunes, from Foghorn Leghorn to Bugs Bunny to Daffy Duck. Porky Pig is a classic beta. Like everything's kind of spelled out there,
Might I bring up Pepe Le Pew?
Oh, Pepe Le Pew, maybe, one of the ultimate pickup artists. He's a skunk that pretends to be a cat to fuck.
He just goes for it.
He goes for it. And you got to admire his confidence, because no matter how many times these women strike him, no matter how many times these women hit him with brooms and frying pans, and no matter how many stars he sees circling above his head, Pepe Le Pew keeps sexually assaulting them.
He doesn't give up, and he doesn't care how he smells. He doesn't care how he looks. He just grabs them, and he's going to kiss them.
You need to have the confidence.
Like he should.
You need to have the confidence as a PUA to go into a bar and imagine that as soon as you go into the bar, you smell so bad that everybody puts an oversized clothespin over their nose, right? And he doesn't care, and neither should you. You should not care if you smell bad. A good confidence test is to just go a couple days without brushing your teeth and speak right in a woman's face, and she'll think, what is this guy doing? Who is this guy? And it works. Probably.
It does work.
All right, so
I would say my third.
Oh, we haven't gone to our second hottest woman yet. You already got because I got 3 lined up here. I'm ready to go. So why don't we do this?
We were talking so long for about Lowell. I forgot we didn't get to the second. Okay.
All right. So on the count of 3, I'll count to 3, and then we say who the second hottest woman on the planet is. All right. 1, 2, 3. The green M&M. Yeah, the green M&M is so thick, dude. That body, holy shit, man. I remember when they introduced that green M&M, that commercial, and it's like you got the red M&M, who's a jackass. You got the yellow M&M,
he's like kind of like the lighthearted, he's like kind of just a kind-hearted,
but like
soft guy,
70 IQ, pushing it on it, just dipshit,
like of Mice and Men.
I mean, it was a classic Mice and Men, that duo,
right? That
tag team of M&Ms, right? And then I think they came up with the blue M&M who played the saxophone. I think he was supposed to be Bill Clinton or something. And then this who is this green M&M? Oh, mama! And she comes out wearing these white high heels and sunglasses, and she dips it down, the sunglasses, and you see those 7-inch something eyelashes flutter up and down, and I was holy moly, I was hooked after that one.
I was like, I got to get me some M&Ms.
And I said, now that's a woman, at the TV, and everybody agreed, like, holy moly, that green M&M. Then they tried to introduce the brown M&M, which just, it's all right, but, fuck, the brown M&M.
No one wants to eat the brown M&M. They're already brown inside, so it's a naked M&M.
It's just, the brown M&M seems stuck up, and it's just like, ugh, I'm not going to spend my time with that M&M. Who's that M&M think she is? I would not fuck that M&M,
The green one, though.
The green one, the green one, man, I'd marry that green M&M. I'm down for that.
Get out of the game. You're like, I'm out of the game. I'm locked down.
I'd hang up, I retire. I'm hanging up my fedora hat with a big peacock feather sticking out of it, and like the little, band around the bottom of it's leopard print. I'd put that one right up on my coat rack, and it would gather dust, and I'd gain 100 pounds and live forever and have a bunch of crossbreed children with the green M&M.
That'd be beautiful.
All right, and let's go. Let's hear what your third is.
My third, is I know I've talked about this before. People have agreed with me, but it always seems to go under the radar. But the third, I think, most attractive woman in my life that I've seen has to be Miss Spider from James and the Giant Peach, the animated film. Easily the sexiest Spider I've ever seen. She had like the French accent, and the beret.
I know that the beret.
She kind of had like a motherly kind of vibe to her, but like maybe not. Like maybe this hot stepmom.
Yeah, this sultry kind of motherly thing, you know. And the beret is something that, you know, while it may be aligned with either French women or dictators, I wouldn't knock it to try as like a PUA thing. You can put on a beret and see how it works for you too.
Oh, nothing is ruled out. You know, I could pick up women in Israel wearing an SS uniform. I guarantee that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I heard about, you know, I read your field guide where you tried that, and you went a long time without getting deported.
I did get jailed, and I won't speak of that because I'm not allowed to. But yeah, I'm not against trying anything.
You miss 100% of the shots that you do not take.
Michael
Jordan said that while he was cheating on his wife.
And Michael Jordan is another hero. Just Space Jam is just full of, you know, role models to base yourself off of. Not even just Bugs or the inspiration of Lola being like, you can have this if you want it.
Yeah.
But,
if you're cool
Michael
enough,
is
Bugs.
just a champion.
You know, one thing that gets a bad rap in that thing is that business alien. That business alien gets a bad rap, where all he was trying to do was, you know, run a business, and everybody got on his shit. But, you know, the business alien could be seen as like a type of PUA guy and somebody you could role model after because he was strong and he got what he wanted, and he smoked cigars, he wore expensive suits and looked cool.
It just had to fit the narrative.
Let's get to. I know we got some fan mail here. We got some notes coming in. Some viewers sent us some field guides to get read. And you know, I'll start this one off. I got a username. Chesterfield Elitist, right?
Okay.
And this one's called "We Live in the Fucking Future: Getting Laid in Hillbilly Country on Tinder."
All right, sounds interesting.
You know, it's not a typical thing. You know, it's not some, you know, guy that just, you know, and he'll tell him a little about his life, and this is what, you know, being a pickup artist is really about. All right,
let's hear it.
35-year-old male here, recently divorced. This weekend, I was going on a trip to the middle of nowhere in West Virginia. And while I was bored in my hotel, I finally installed Tinder to see what would happen. That night, I swiped on a couple women around 5:30-ish and then went out to dinner and beers with my brother. I get back to the hotel around 9-ish feeling tipsy, get ready for bed, and turn Tinder back on in a horny mood. I start swiping again, this time without reading profiles and without much physical discrimination. Match, 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 match. Holy shit, these women have been busy tonight. I had about 30 matches waiting for me of all shapes and sizes. I say the same thing to each one because I'm old school. Hey, I hate typing. Can I call you real quick? Several send their numbers, some don't respond, and some want more banter before they let me call. I ignore all but the first category. I started calling them in descending order of hotness. The first girl I call starts talking about how there aren't any good men anymore, nobody goes to church, and they just want a quick fuck, and she ain't like that. I told her, whoops, that sounds like me, so I guess you're not interested in having an orgasm in my hotel room. She hangs up. First of all, this is me commenting now, this is not the story. Classic alpha move. Classic alpha move. You're just inviting a woman to have an orgasm. It's fine. After she complains about men, it's fine, because you know what? You don't have time for her shit. You don't have time for her shit, right? It's a numbers game. There's always more fish in the sea.
You're not looking for a wife here.
No, you're in a motel room. You're recently divorced and you're drunk and you're just trying to have sex. What woman wouldn't want a guy like that? All right. back to the story. I call the second girl. I ask her all about herself, make some jokes, make her laugh a couple times, tell her some bullshit about how I travel for business. Women don't seem to like that. But I always told my last girlfriend, just come with me. I'm going to New York for 3 days. I only have to meet with my client for 1 hour. Then the rest of the time I'm yours. But they always whine about how they can't get off work. This lie has thrilled my target because we've already established that she doesn't work but is a fitness instructor looking for clients. She agrees to meet me in a dinky bar that's attached to the bowling alley across from my hotel. Apparently she comes here all the time, knows everybody. She's hotter than her pictures. I'm a leg guy, and the pics didn't show how sexy her legs were. I order 2 pitchers of beer. I give her 1, and I start chugging right out of the pitcher. She makes an amused look, like, WTF, and I say, I thought you rednecks are supposed to know how to party. I have a thick New York accent bordering on Joe Pesci. She slams her pitcher, I slam mine. The DJ plays some song she likes. She starts grinding up on me. We dance. I go to the bar and order 2 shots of Captain and a Coke Chaser. We do a toast. She knocks it back. I can tell that one was a silver bullet. She's pretty drunk. I'm pretty drunk. She agrees to come hang out in my hotel room. I hold her hand and we walk to the hotel. My hand is sweating profusely because it's like 90 degrees. As soon as we get in the room, she says she has to go to the bathroom. This is when a woman goes to check her pussy, wipe up, make sure everything looks okay. When a woman takes a while in there, you know she's getting her pussy ready. Okay, and this is a big banger here, and I'm pausing the story for a little bit to say that this is 100% one right. When you go into the bathroom, when a woman goes into the bathroom, she's wiping up her pussy because she's getting the pussy ready. You have there's no question. If you ask a woman, if you have any female friends that will tell you the truth, which first of all you should not have any female friends, but if you do, ask them how long it takes to get their pussy ready. Yeah, ask women.
Lesbians.
How long does it take to get your pussy ready? And they're gonna say 15 minutes.
Minimum. All
right, back to story. She comes out of the bathroom. I am sitting on the bed. I pat the bed creepily for her to sit down. She sits and I immediately start making out with her. I start feeling those legs I've been dying to touch. A little stubbly, frowny face. Oh well, what do I expect from a girl I essentially downloaded off the internet? I started fumbling her complicated dress. I tell her, will you take this damn thing off? She laughs and strips. I diddle her clit a little. She gets super wet and starts moaning. I stood up on my knees and fed her my disappointingly sized cock to suck on. It's a little soft due to being nervous, and I haven't done this type of thing in 10 years. She sucks me sloppily and seems pleased when it inflates to its max thickness. Her pussy tenses up and she comes from my fingering. I made sure of it because I knew what was coming next. I throw on a condom and put my dick in her, and I came after about 3 strokes. It's been 10 years, fellas. Go easy on me. We both pass out. I wake up the next morning to the sound of her getting her shit together. I give her a ride home. She lives in some horrible apartment. I feel terrible. I almost want to offer her money, but don't want her to feel like a hooker either. I feel bad about the lies I told, but as always, that feeling is always replaced by a different one. All right, and this is a big banger here. Now, let's pause the story for a second, and I would like to commend, Chesterfield Elitist on his honesty. His dick small. He came quick. He pet the bed creepily. His dick was soft and he was nervous. He didn't know how to take off a dress. He considers the woman a woman that he downloaded off the internet. He's essentially jerking off. But you have to commend him, because this is what it's all about. This is what being a pickup artist is all about. He did it, All right, continuing on.
It's not really how...
Yeah,
okay.
For that ride home down through the mountains of West Virginia back east was probably the best part of the whole experience. The moment when I got to relax back and reflect on all that transpired. I downloaded a girl off the internet. She fucked me. It was easy. This is the fucking future. I roll down my windows and let the wind whip through my hair. I get an insane level of hyper energy that can't be contained, and I have a Tourette's moment where I slap the side of my car and scream "future" out the window repeatedly like Squidward. I stop at a little roadside diner and see an older gentleman sitting there alone at the counter. I sit down next to him and order a coffee and a bagel. I talk to him. He's just come from church. He asked me how my weekend was. I'm not religious, but I told him, sometimes when you ask God for rain, he makes it pour all over your garden. That old man wanted to know more, so I showed him the Tinder app. I swipe a few girls and show him the chat feature. And what happens when you meet these young women, he asked. Well, I told him, that's the part where I asked God to close his eyes for a while. The old man laughed so hard I thought he would have a heart attack. I laugh maniacally as well. I throw $40 on the counter and pay for the old man's eggs and coffee. What a time to be alive, lad. What a time to be alive. See, the good thing about this guy, all right? You know, he asks God to close his eyes. Because he doesn't want God to see him come so quick. He doesn't want God to see him pet the bed creepily. He's just a normal person. He downloaded a woman.
He doesn't want to see him.
Right. This is just what being a pickup artist is all about.
It's not how you. It's not about, you know, the sex. It's not about how you do it or how it transpires or her satisfaction in the least.
Or yeah, it's definitely not about if the woman enjoys it.
And that you accomplished it, you achieved it.
What matters is that you feel good about yourself at the expense of other people.
That's the number one. It's the number one. You know, picking up women is not about reality. It's not like we're so afraid of women and we hate them so much and are disgusted by them so much that we have to view them as sort of like a video game or a fantasy, and we have to role play as these certain guys that are better than our real selves to get them. It's not like that at all. And it's not like we're just sad and pathetic or anything like that.
Our dicks are normal sized.
That's not relevant. It's not relevant to what we do. It doesn't matter what size it is. It's how you use it. And
probably.
It's not like women don't know what they want, so we can talk about what they do.
So they might as well, they might as well want us, you know? And, when we talk about women, we talk about, like, what is the ideal woman, And that's kind of what I wanted to get into, the sublime art of bimbofication. Of, okay, you have a girlfriend now.
It's a lost art.
I want her to be a bimbo, Basically, the most sexual thing to any man is, extremely tiny jean shorts, a white tank top that's partially see-through, and big pink high heels, and her maybe holding a purse in that outfit, and you're walking away in a three-piece suit, and she's running after you, and her heels are clicking, and she goes, "Wait for me." That mental image is what every man wants. Every man wants to imagine that girl in those high heels trying to walk up a gravel road.
Oh,
it's just hot.
The bimbo is like purely the peak of what a woman should be.
Right. Just as we're striving for peak masculinity, nearly all women subconsciously are striving for peak femininity.
And that's the bimbo.
And that's why, men are easier. Now let's talk about, that's what men want. What do women want?
What do women like?
What do they like? Do they like guys, that play video games all day? No. You can do it, but you're never going to let them know.
No.
They're never going to like the real you.
That's not the world that they need to know about. There are two lives you lead in this game. And one they can never know about.
Do women like it when you get really drunk and during sex and you're able to have sex for 20 minutes and you're like, oh, I bet you never been with a guy that lasts this long, and they're impressed because it's really cool?
Well, one thing I've noticed in bed with women myself, it's very interesting, I find actually, is, when you're in the thick of things and they like it when you call them homie. Yeah, you like that, homie? Yeah, you like how that feels? Like, yeah, you like that, gangster? want to be emasculated. They don't ever get
You
to
like
be
that,
called
dick
things
player?
like that.
What's up, player?
Yeah. Give it to me, pimp. Things like
Yeah.
things of that nature. So these are things.
What's up, hustler? Take it. Take it, hustler.
This is thinking outside the box and things that a lot of guys aren't trying. They're afraid to go to that level, that next level, and that's why we're here.
You like that, cowboy?
Yeah, officer. Yeah, officer.
Yeah, take that, you all-star.
Thanks, coach.
Taking it like a champ, buddy.
I mean, just things like that. So don't be afraid to try it.
Right. You know. I'm going to pull out now, dude. Just try yelling that. All right. Well, I got some advanced tips for you guys. I promised these at the end, and I'm sure for a lot of our more seasoned message board members, you've already heard this. You've already heard these spiels, these affirmations, these tips a million times before. I still feel like it's good to listen to them just to get you a more holistic view of what we do as artists. But I come up with some advanced techniques of my own here. And the first one I'm very proud of. I've done multiple times, and it always definitely makes an impression on the girl. And that is this technique I've developed called Imagine the Orc. Now, it sounds complicated, and it sounds bizarre, but trust me on this one. All right? Now, you're going to tell a girl, right? This is not an opener, by the way. This is a mid-tier set. You're going to run this maybe when you got her isolated, when her friends are doing something else, or your wingman's taking care of something. You're gonna run this when you got her by yourself, all right? Now, it's okay if you come off awkward starting this, because it's just such a, you're going to make it seem like something of vast importance to you. You're going to be like, all right, let me try something with you real quick for a second. I want you to close your eyes for me, right? And, women will be like, oh, what's he doing? Is he creepy? And they'll think something stupid like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to tell them, I want you to imagine an orc. All right. And even during this part, you can kind of drop your voice. You can be like David Blaine in that like kind of nasally monotone that everyone loves. And you can be like, I want you to imagine an orc. All right. Now tell me, what color is the orc's skin? Is it dark green? Is it teal? Is it a pale yellow? Is it an ashen gray? And what is this? Is the orc wearing boot-cut jeans? What color are the jeans? Are they faded? Are they dark blue? Are they black jeans? This orc, he's wearing boot-cut jeans, and he's standing. Is that a golf course? Is he standing on the fairway? On the green? And the whole time you're asking these questions, the woman is answering them, and she is not allowed to open her eyes, right? So the orc is wearing that, and the orc, is he standing on the green? What is he holding? Is he holding a driver? And behind the orc, is that a car? Tell me, what kind of car do you see behind the orc? Is it a 1956 pink Chevelle? Is it a yellow AMC Gremlin? Is it a dune buggy? Now this orc, obviously, he's not wearing a shirt. He's wearing jeans. He has no belt in the jeans. He's visibly wearing no underwear against it. Now tell me, what is this cool orc? Is he smoking a cigar? What kind of a cigar is it? How big is the cigar? And is he leaning against a brick wall? Or is he leaning against a chain link fence? Now, depending on how the women answered all of these, right? That's gonna tell you exactly about her personality. Think of the most obvious one, the cigar that the orc is smoking. She's gonna tell you exactly how long that is. That is how long she expects your dick to be, right? 100% of the time, right? It's gonna be a phallic symbol, right? And the orc is gonna be her ideal mate. Every woman wants an alpha male, right? And what is more alpha male than an orc? A savage, noble type of barbarian warrior.
Take what they want.
Exactly. An orc. All women fantasize about orcs, right? All women rooted against the little gnomes in Lord of the Rings, right? No one wanted those fuckers to win. Everybody wanted the orcs to win because they were hot, right? And now you're going to imagine the color of the bootcut jeans. Now what that represents is going to be a woman's fertility, right? Does she want to reproduce with this orc, right? If they're a light blue, she wants to start a family with them. If they're black jeans, she wants that orc to run her hard and put her away wet. You know, she wants to be used by that orc, the perfect mate, which should be you, and she wants to just be thrown around like a sack of grain, you know? All right. And then you're talking about the golf course. You know, that's going to be her home life, you know? Now, if she imagines that orc on a nice green, then, you know, she has a fairly stable home life and things are good. Now, if she imagines this orc in the brambles, in the rough, maybe eyeing his caddy, who is some kind of goblin, for, you know, not a driver or a putter, but the triangle one that I forgot what they're called, a chipper, whatever, you know. That's what the orc wants, you know. And if he's in the rough, then she's in the rough. She's not doing so good, you know. And I've tried this, and a lot of people say, why tell her that they're bootcut jeans? Because 100% of the time when I've done this and I ask a woman to tell me what type of jeans, it's always bootcut. Bootcut jeans are easily the most attractive jeans. And when you're imagining your ideal mate, it's always going to be in bootcut. Now, sometimes the bootcut jeans will have a little loop for a carpenter belt so you can put your hammer there, but always that orc's going to be wearing bootcut jeans. And most of the time he's leaning against a chain link fence. And that's just because that's really a sexual image to women and they can't think about it. But by forcing a woman to think about this for so long in her proximity, subconsciously, she will want to fuck you because she wants to fuck that orc that she's thinking about so bad. You become the orc, right?
Right. What I like about that technique that you have pioneered, if I may.
You may.
I mean, it's really your brainchild. What I like about it so much is it's just subtle.
It's really subtle because they'll never see it coming. They'll be like, "Who's this guy? Who's this cool hot guy who wants me to think about orcs and won't let me open my eyes for 3 minutes at a time?" I feel safe with him. He's the orc. What is that orc doing there? The car represents her. The car is how she views herself. So like a cherry pink Chevelle, she thinks she's like hot to trot. Ooh, mama, we're an AMC Gremlin. She's going to view herself as, you know, just something you drive back and forth to get to work every day and don't really take any pride in. You know, she's barely going to wash herself. So if she says the AMC Gremlin, then you got to get out of there, man. You're not going to deal with it. You got to get out of there.
Stram.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything.
No. I mean, you can get whatever.
So that was your first advanced technique. You had a second one you mentioned earlier.
Now, this is something I've been doing for a while now. And this one just like it'll keep women on their feet, right? You know, we talk a lot about alpha males, which are peak representations of masculinity and dominance, and we talk about beta males who are little wimp babies who let women tell them what to do and listen to women's opinions and cater to their emotions, right? Now, that was a dichotomy. You know, we thought that was a dichotomy. You were either alpha or you were beta. And I call this strategy consider the clownfish. The clownfish, if he is not the strongest, will just pretend to be a woman and go into the male clownfish's harem and have sex with all of them. And he won't be able to tell because he's looking at that tiny clownfish like it's a lady clownfish, right? And this is where I bring in the idea of the omega male all the way at the bottom. Now, the omega male is everything you're going to imagine about a beta, everything we hate about betas, taken to its logical conclusion. You're essentially going to enter a bar and you're just going to immediately start crying. And it has to be blubbering, can barely talk out words type crying. You got to be just like really living it up, just like like blue, 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 blue. And you can't fake it. You really got to do something. You really got to trigger something in yourself and like really perform it. So you're going to come in and blubber and do all this stuff. And the very first woman that asks you what's wrong, you're immediately going to just embrace her and hold her as hard as you can while you're blubbering, and what this does is it wakes up the maternal instincts of the woman who's going to be like, who is this hurt man? He's not like the men that hurt me. I'm going to protect him. Right? It inverses the game. Now, what this does, it doesn't create a standard. It just invites a way in, right? Because she's like, oh, this man showed his sensitive side. He's here crying. He entered the bar. He immediately grabbed me and wanted me to comfort him. He is in the fetal position, and he is trying to put his head into my lap as I try to, scurry away. But I can't stop him because I'll feel bad. It's a perfect in, because they're thinking, there's no way this vulnerable man could be trying to Scrooge and my Grinch. There's no way. So the Omega male is going to cry a lot. It's going to blubber. It's going to ask women to pet your hair slowly and get you drinks, and even hold the beer and lift your chin up with one hand and pour a little bit of beer into your mouth. And then you're going to come up with some sob story, probably about some dipshit son you had that died just now or something, or maybe your parents just died 5 minutes ago in a car wreck, something like that. You really just got to let him have it. And you're just going to, she's going to think, oh, who's this guy that, he's not like all the other men. He's not like them. I can trust this man. And the thing is, the beautiful thing about this is that they can't trust you. They cannot trust you. Absolutely not. The Omega male.
You're telling me this works.
Is a extremely powerful opener, and it has worked both times that I did it. And at the perfect thing about it too is you always end it. And this is a classic line guys have been doing for a long time, but it really works well here. Do you know what line I'm thinking about, Destiny?
I think I do. Yeah.
I don't think I should be alone tonight. Boom. Instant, every time. You're sleeping on their couch, minimum. Most of the time, in the middle of the night, you can crawl into their bed if you start crying again, and they're going to let you. And sooner or later, when you're holding her in the bed, when you're crying, you might get hard. And then you just see if she goes with it. And if she doesn't go with it, you can still make it touch her. And that's going to kind of count as sex in some cultures.
You could tell people it is. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I mean, you're going to come home and your buddies are going to be like, hey, man, where were you last night? And then you tell them, I had sex with a woman. And you're going to have a good day after that.
Well, I can't say that I have done it before, but I am for sure going to try that technique. I know I've used Orc, which is just revolutionary. But the Omega Male, I'm going to have to give it a shot. So.
You got to go for the Omega Male every once in a while. It's a powerful entrance, and the problem with it is you really got to minimize your targets on it. You can only do that to about one woman a night. Now, if you try to do that to one and she doesn't go for it, you have to leave the bar and just go to a new bar and work up some more tiers.
Hey, it's not hard. I got a lot backed away.
Just everything you've ever been suppressing can just come out and just let it flow, and you're gonna be fine because the women are gonna love it. And at the very least, they're gonna pay for your cab to get home.
It's perfect. Well, I wanted to say something. I mean, did you have anything else?
Oh no, I'm ready. I think we're about ready to wrap this one up.
All right. Well, before we do, I just want to say to our newcomers, people just get into this. Doesn't matter who you are as a guy. I want to welcome you to this community, and we're going to help you in any way we can, as long as you don't be a baby. I just want to say, a woman is a simulacrum. If you think of them more as an idea or a concept instead of a person, it becomes easy, and you wield and mold the way they think in any way you wish. The problem today is these simulacrums are becoming sentient, or they think they are. They don't know what they want, but you do, and it's up to you to reveal to them what that is. I mean, don't do it all at once. Be gradual. You got to keep them guessing, always wanting more. You're not going to just, play your whole hand at once and show it.
Right.
But their reality is formed by outside forces, but now they're yours, and you're their guide, and you get to show them where they're going. So I just wanted to say that.
I forgot to say that under no we should have put this at the beginning. Under no circumstances are women allowed to listen to this podcast. Maybe we can do something with a website where at the beginning you have to click the yes to say you're a man and that women can't listen to this because this
like
is
a little drop down.
I just realized, there's absolutely no way we can allow women to listen. Women are not allowed to listen to this podcast. This is for men only.
It's because they might be onto us if they find out.
You know, I'm not. Boy, would my face be red if I got called out doing an Omega Mail. You know, and the upside to the Omega Mail is if somebody called me out on it, it'd be like, how could you even suggest that? It just even doubled down on the crying to like whole body heaves. Yeah. So, maybe you can, if you got game, you can always get away with whatever you want. Any kind of predatory behavior is fine as long as you know how to talk to women and or police officers. But, let's go ahead and wrap this episode up. I guess we'll do the two outros.
I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we definitely did. We'll do the two outros because, all right, so this has been the first episode 1 of Aphrodite's Labyrinth, demystifying the fair sex. Well, no, I'm going to do that one next. Jesus Christ, man.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. so the Aphrodite's Labyrinth, demystifying the fairer sex. And that's going to be in a really cool font, like really kind of like gothic font. And it's probably going to have like a picture of like that one bimbo in the seashell in the background or something. But we'll probably like give her some like bigger tits.
Sounds cool, but it's not official yet. So
it's kind of cool. And I think that, well, never mind. Okay. Also, this has been an episode of, the Heart of the Wolf.
The Hour of the Wolf. Heart of the Wolf.
The Hour of the Wolf's Den. Heart of the Wolf Den.
Oh, I like that. I actually like that.
Hour of the Wolf.
It's got the Hour of the Wolf. Yeah.
All right. So which one am I doing?
But anyway.
All right. This has been episode 1 of Wolf Hour.
Okay. Well, that's not what I said, but. Anyway, like us on Twitter, guys. You can check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of weekly tips on there. We have a lot of correspondence on there. You can hang out in our Google Hangouts. We're there every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're on there all night. Sunday too, and Monday. We're on there all night. Just chatting if you want to chat. So we're there.
Destiny.co.uk, and you can buy his custom cologne,
Fibonacci.
Yeah.
Oh, Gallagher maybe now.
Yeah, I guess that was the watermelon guy. But, I bought his cologne that was made out of coconut oil and motor oil and the third type of oil, castor oil. It was castor oil. And then I think there was a hint of oregano. But
fish oil. Yeah. Fish oil's in there.
Yeah, fish oil too. Well, like the tablet was swimming around. I think you forgot to bop it open, but... Yeah. So thank you so much. This is our first episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and we're going ahead and we're gonna go harass some women sexually right now.
Yeah. Stay weird, everybody.
All right. Goodbye.
The following is an archived podcast presented by the Branson and Hudson Foundation for Podcast Recovery. This podcast is entitled Paragons of Truth, Unmasking the Facade. This is the first and only episode of the podcast. Welcome to episode 1.
Welcome, friends. Welcome. You have turned on a podcast called Paragons of Truth, Unmasking the Facade. I am Reed Gimble, here with my co-host, Curtis Hong. Say howdy, Curtis.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
We are, first of all, I'd like to state this succinctly. We are not a joke. This is real. We've been doing this for a long time. We're experts in the field, and we are discussing one thing. That is a flat Earth. Now, you've been lied to for the majority of your life about these types of things, and we're here to set the record straight. I'm pretty excited about today's episode. We got ourselves some fancy doctor. Dr. Jens Ljubljana is here. And since this is the first episode, why don't we start, before we introduce our guest, talking about what we personally believe. Curtis, please, go ahead. Tell them your angle on this flat Earth thing.
Well, as our listeners have known, I divert in my beliefs of what the flat Earth consists of and how it works. For you personally believe that it is a disc shape, for instance, whereas I subscribe to the belief that it is a square shape, much like how I prefer the Wendy's burger patties over the round circular. So that's one of our little one.
Right. While we agree that we're flat, I believe that it's more like a Burger King patty than a Wendy's patty.
Right. And we agree it's flat, but I disagree with you there. And there's a few other little hiccups, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. And me personally, I am a devout Christian man. I believe that God created the earth. I believe he made that sucker flat, and that's about it. So we got him waiting on the line here. I'm extremely pleased to introduce our guest. Everybody, please say hello to Dr. Jens Ljubljana.
Hello. Thank you for having me on your podcast, Reed.
You're very welcome.
And Curtis, as you said, Dr. Jens Ljubljana. I got my doctorate in the Moscow Institute of Paraphysics in the 60s.
MIP.
Yes, MIP. It has been shut down since, but the government tries to just keep the true pioneers of science and such down wherever you go, east or west. It's always the same.
Now,
I'm no fancy doctor.
Doctor, yes. Reed and I, this is Curtis. Reed and I, we are not certified doctors. You are a certified doctor in flatology. We don't have a formal education, but I have what I believe we both have, something maybe even better, and we're
spunk. We got spunk.
Well, we have spunk, but we also have our information, which is self-taught. This is years of research and dedication on our own parts.
Oh, yes.
And these are not things that are being taught in academia or these liberal arts or these modern universities, because they're being suppressed by the elites. And this is why we're here. This is why we're doing this podcast. So
absolutely. And I agree with you. Everywhere I go to, every university, I've been going for 20 years now, saying, let me teach courses in your university. I have a certificate. I have a doctorate. Instead, they hire these barely out of masters, student teachers to teach astrophysics when they have an expert. They just say no. We are buying NASA money.
They got those eggheads over there trying to teach all these courses, don't know nothing, in that Moscow University or whatever.
Everywhere.
I forgot.
Well, I think, and Reed, he disagrees with me on this. I think what the USSR had going for it and why they had success with the Moscow Institute is that they are primarily an atheistic society, which I think is very important. How did that affect you?
Me, when he just goes on those little things, I just plug my ears right up and I close my eyes. I shut them as hard as I can until I start shaking because I don't like hearing that. I'm a Christian man. I'm against Russia. Don't like them. They got a lot of stuff going on that just creepy to me. A bunch of weirdos over there. No offense, Dr. Jens.
Well, but, I believe Dr. Jens was born and raised in Illinois.
Is that true, Dr. Jens?
This is, I had to, eventually, of course, when the institute was shut down, I had to flee the country. and eventually, you know, KGB has its tendrils everywhere, so you do have to fabricate, you know, these like birth certificates, these social securities.
Right. I thought I recognized a little bit of an Illinois accent in your voice, so
You know,
I have an ear for that kind of thing.
He's definitely probably chowing down on one of them Chicago hot dogs right now.
Ooh, I could go for one of
with
those.
that really green relish, getting it all over his mustache and all that. But yeah, you know, the way I see about any kind of formal education is, you know, Jesus didn't go to high school, and neither did I. And that's kind of where the parallels end, but it's good enough for me. You know, we got enough people that are trying to sabotage the flat earth movement. Whether you have people coming in pretending to be some dipshits talking about flat earth, don't know what they're talking about, make us look stupid. Then, you know, you got them, you got CIA psyops, you got the Jews at NASA trying to throw these pictures in our faces, all that. You know, we got a lot of common misconceptions. That's part of the reason why we started the podcast. So let's deal with some of those right now. How would you fellers explain to a baller, and that's what we call people who believe in the round earth theory, how would you explain to a baller, how does the sun set? Why is the sun set?
Would you like me to go first, or Dr. Yins?
Curtis, I believe it would be best if our guest went first.
My apologies.
If you ever learned any manners.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me go first. So, what we were taught in the Institute, of course, is the classic theory of the sun. As the sun, so first of all, is also flat, which is just, before, you know, I get into the rest of the things, this is just an axiom you have to accept. So it is flat, and it is very small, about the size of Germany or so, flying 300 kilometers above the disk. And it flies around the so-called equator. And it just, when a sun sets, it is just going so far away from your eyesight that it goes into the horizon, because, as we all know, when things are farther away from us, they get smaller.
You can't see them. Yeah, you can't see stuff that's far away.
You can't see stuff that's far away, and it's just the sun going away so far that you can't see it, and the sunlight doesn't reach that part of the disk.
Because, like, if you're here, right, and you're in America and you're looking up at the sun and you can't see it, it's because it's far away. It's in China, and China's really far.
Exactly. So a sunset is simply the sun being far away.
Curtis, do you agree with that?
Well, I do agree that it is far away, and that's why
I think we can all agree that the sun is far away.
It is,
right?
You're right. So I agree with you there. Right. I believe, well, actually, I know that the sun is, in fact, a massive spotlight. It is operated from the other side of the dome with a crew of about 150 men, and they do 24-hour shifts, and they will move the spotlight around the Earth, and that is how the sun operates. Whereas the moon is, I believe, a projection.
All right, this is Jesus, good Lord, man. Hey, I'm trying not to get frustrated right now. I know it's the first episode of this podcast, but gee whiz, man, why are people up there?
Well, it's part of, they're trying to keep us all suppressed. It's more cost effective.
What's behind them?
Well, that's what I'd like to know. Isn't that why we're here?
Lord.
So what would you say? What would you say, Reed? What is your...
Man, I say the normal thing, man. All right. You ever seen that the little things you can get in airports. You shake them up, and the snow's all in them, and then the snows fall down, and it'll say something like St. Louis or Chicago,
Right,
and then
snow
it'll
globe.
be snow on it. Yeah, snow globe. All right, so it's basically that.
But it's not a globe,
except
obviously.
A little more. It's got a flat surface. Now you got the firmament, which is like a dome, like a under the dome Steve King situation.
Okay.
You got there, and you got that big old dome. You got that snow globe stuff like that, and it's put on, and it's resting on two big mountains that hold up. They're called the foundations of Earth. All right, and then you got water underneath it. That's the ocean, buddy. You know, can't go to the bottom of that. So you got the ocean, you got the dome. The sun itself is a orb. I do not believe the sun is flat. I think it's a orb. I put perhaps an angel, and it's just shining so bright
Now,
and so
how
pretty
does that
up
make
there. It
any
makes
kind of
everything.
sense? An angel?
Now it
Are
makes
you
everything
kidding
look
me,
pretty.
Reed?
A nice spring day. You may take your kids on a picnic, and you just get warm and think about the warmth of God.
So how did the angel get there?
God put him there to do his job.
So you don't want to break this down in any sort of logical sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I have to agree with Curtis here, but I was maybe
You're gonna take the globe. You're gonna take the spotlight guy over the Bible.
It's more possible for a spotlight being ran by 150 men than an angel being put there by God. You can't just say
I
God
don't
put
know about
everything
150 men, but I definitely agree with angel.
You'd have to pay
Okay,
those. That's
maybe
a lot of
100 men,
money. If
maybe
you got to
200
give those
men,
guys benefits,
Well,
if they're
why
in the
do you
union,
think,
you're
Why do you
screwed.
think NASA is getting all the funding?
Right.
They're
Thank
not
you.
making rockets. They're not making.
Well, I got separate theories on NASA that we can touch on later, but because I think we can go for a while about NASA because that's probably the number one.
Right.
That's public enemy number one for flat earthers. Can we agree on that?
I absolutely agree.
All right. So
100%.
far we've agreed that the Earth is flat, NASA's bad, and there was one other thing I can't remember.
That the sun is your spotlight.
Oh no, that the sun is far away. We know that it's far away.
Right.
All right.
It's
So
definitely far away.
so I'm describing a snow globe. Dr. Yins is describing some kind of clockwork thing with the sun. I don't know. I guess
It's just laws of
you're
physics.
you're describing the Truman Show, Curtis. Everything you said is the Truman Show.
I don't know what that is.
All right.
Truman
so,
Show, a fantastic American movie. I think, sometimes, artists, especially in Soviet times, they had to use this allegory to say the truth in an indirect way. And I think they were using Truman Show with Jim Carrey to plant this idea of the sky being something you can walk to and open the door into world.
No,
I mean, Jim
I've
Carrey
never seen
is
anything like that.
an ally in a lot of truth communities. He's seen as an ally. He's done a lot of good work.
Absolutely.
Preventing medical care to children. Now let's get into another misconception that we struggle with. Now, if the Earth is flat, people say, ballers, how do you explain gravity? Curtis, I'd like to give you the first shot of this one.
Now, gravity, I believe, is not what they say it. It's not the force that they claim it is. However, I do believe that things, everything on the Earth is being held down. And that's by a large government-operated magnet that is at the center of the Earth. And then there are corresponding magnets that surrounding the Earth on the edges that push the negative balance to keep everything in place.
All right. I'd like to ask a question about that.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, what the heck is the center of the Earth?
Well, the middle, the center. I would say it's in the where the pole is at is where they keep this magnet.
Why was there? So the government invented gravity. What about before that?
Well, prior to that, there was a great cataclysmic event that leveled everything and caused it to stay on the Earth. Once it started to retract, sort of go into regression, everything started to move again, and they had to invent this device in, I would say,
Gee whiz.
the late 1700s.
All right, Dr. Ians, explain gravity, please.
Oh, gravity, well, it's simple. This is something you learn, in high school even, and I think the model we teach in high schools is fairly close to what it actually is. And I will get into more detail later because gravity ties in heavily into this new model that I'm proposing.
Right.
But it's just like how, there is the sun force that is spinning the sun around Earth. Gravity is just one of those natural forces of physics that is a downwards force. And
the downwards force.
It's a downwards force because, as you know, in the model of physics, each force has an opposite and equal force. So with my theory, there's an upward force. I will get into this, but then the corresponding downwards force to that is gravity. And
now, I'd like to ask a question to either of you gentlemen. How is it that the water of the oceans stays down, but a bird may fly freely?
And it's just one of those pure questions that even a little baby could ask. And you just look in that baby's eyes and you'd know he was right. And it's just like, wisdom through the mouth of children. How can a bird fly? I think a bird weighs more than water, an equal amount of water. And water's just sitting there on the ground. That bird's out off the ground.
Yeah, why is water not flying?
So
why is water not? Water is slippery. You can't keep it nowhere. You got it in a cup, but the earth ain't no cup to keep no water in.
I think birds are flying on the same method as hot air balloons.
Now,
that has to do with the upwards force?
Yes,
if I'm
the
correct.
upwards force.
Okay.
Just some objects and some materials, for example, the material of a hot air balloon, just are innately more attuned to the upward or downward force, and that is why hot air balloons and birds can fly.
That makes sense to me.
I can see that.
You got the upwards force, right? Sends you up. You got the downwards force, right? And then if I say the N word, they force me out of Chuck E. Cheese. All right, let's get on to the next one. How would y'all explain the existence of the moon? Dr. Yens, please.
Well, again, this duality and such, I think the moon, as Curtis did allude to this is one of my favorite theories and one of the things that truly in the first year of studies really put into place that I'm studying, the right thing, is that, as I said before, the sun is a disk, and when it gets away and it turns away, you don't see the light because it is too far away. Mm-hmm. But what happens is because of light beams projecting directly into the water is actually a reflection of the sun being reflected back onto the sky. And it looks white because the water absorbs the yellow color but leaves the white color of the sunlight, and it projects like that.
Pretty
and that
good.
Is why there are moon phases, because sometimes the sun doesn't shine into the middle of a sea, but sometimes it shines on an island or a coast, and then you get only part of its reflection.
Holy moly, this guy's good. Wow. My personal theory on the moon is that, you got the sun as a little angel spinning around, and this isn't anything I was taught. This isn't anything that I just imagine it as you got a beautiful woman that's the sun, and like a like a bumbling kind of horny old man that's the moon, and you got the get on back here, son, and just kind of following the moon around. So the sun's doing its pattern, and the moon's right behind chasing, but can never catch up. And I just imagine that you probably got like a Benny Hill type angel running the moon, just chasing after that pretty ass sun angel. And that's not something I take to heart really much, but something I just think about and I kind of chuckle.
Reed,
about.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Let's go on to Curtis. Please explain your thoughts on the moon. I'm just trying to have fun, Curtis. It's fine. I mean, I know you're one of them eggheads, but good lord, come on, man.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, but I take this very seriously. I would say that much like how the sun is operated by a crew, by an operation ran by the United Nations, I believe the sun, like I said earlier, is a projection similar to Dr. Yin's, what he was talking about, but I believe it is an actual device that projects the moon into the sky. And the phases are simple. I mean, they just change. They'll half it off, and then sometimes
like a little Batman
they'll turn it off
signal.
completely, and that's simply just to save money and energy.
How many people run that crew, Curtis?
This is only about a 70-man crew, much smaller.
Yeah, that's pretty.
You don't need
crew.
a big as a crew for the moon because it's not out as much.
It makes sense if you think that it's moon is smaller than the sun, so it would need less people for the crew also.
Right, exactly. Well then.
All right, let's get to now. This is always a divisive one in the flat Earth community. Let's talk about Antarctica.
Ooh, yes.
What do you think about Antarctica, Curtis?
I believe that Antarctica surrounds us. It's not a single place. It is a surrounding ring, or in my belief, a box on the edge.
Wait, what?
If you were to travel to the end of the oceans, okay, trying to reach the edge of the flat Earth, you would find Antarctica. And this surrounds us on all the edges. That is Antarctica.
All right, that makes sense to me. Surprisingly, I'm not upset by that one. Dr. Jens Lebegana, can you please tell us?
I also agree with it surrounds us, and this is just a funny Antarctic note. I like to open some of my seminars. Just you have to sometimes start with a joke to get crowd easier. And
yeah, warm them up.
Before, and I like to say that Antarctica is the only round place on Earth. I say round earthers, ballers have it right. The Earth is round. Everyone stands up to leave, and I say only in Antarctica because it is shaped like for skateboarding, the quarter pipe it has this shape to it where at the ocean it is practically on sea level, but it rises up, and this is because it is due to centrifugal force over many years. The Earth is spinning, and it just pushes most of the ice towards the edge, and that's why it is very tall at the edge.
Holy moly!
Now, I've had this in my mind, this theory before. Do you believe that this water that's pushing the ice and possibly forming new ice is expanding our flat Earth and wider and bigger over time?
It's very difficult to say, especially these days. I feel like flat, with the loss of the institute, we just decades
it's a huge
of
loss.
Organized scientific research. I feel like if I had the bigger team, we could really get down to this. It is an interesting theory, but it's very difficult to go. Actually, we would need to send people to see how.
And
that brings me to my next question.
No one's gone there.
Yeah, why has no one gone there? I asked that
because who's got the time?
Exactly.
That's true.
Nobody, like, everybody is a working person, and people say, like, oh, if Antarctica's flat, why don't you just walk to the edge? Who's got the time, man?
With
I got kids, I got stuff going on.
Our jobs.
I don't want to leave Carol alone with all the boys, and I know she got that back condition, so it's just like, I can't do it. I'd love if somebody, helped me out, let me go to Antarctica and climb up on that big old thing.
Right.
And I want to further add to when you said your theory, Curtis Hong, I imagined a pizza man, right?
Okay.
And he's got the big ball of dough, right? And maybe we could make this our logo or something, but the ball of dough is the earth, and he's holding it, and he's holding a round earth, right?
It's not round,
and then he starts doing that cool. I know. You gotta listen, Curtis. Gee whiz, man. He's got the ball earth, right, and he's holding it.
Okay.
And he starts spinning that pizza. You know that famous pizza spin they do to make that dough all even. He starts doing that pizza spin tricks where he's throwing it up in the air and catching it, and everybody's clapping. And he's doing that. And we got a big old round, big old flat earth right there, and the crusts are like the Antarctica blocking it.
Okay.
So, I'm just envisioning that right now, and I'm kind of like leaning back in my chair, and I'm smiling and having a good time. So I'd like to thank you for that.
Yeah, a pizza is a great example because when you think of a pizza, the edge of a pizza is taller than the rest of the pizza, and this is because
smoking
of the
gun
pizza
right
move.
there. This Dr.
It's simple.
Dr. Yins, you are blowing my mind right now, man.
You have some ballers and among your friends just say, let's go to, like, I respect you, but let's go talk about it on Italian pizza restaurant and let's just watch the chef do his thing.
Okay, so
that's how you get them.
If the earth is like a pizza, the crust is higher, we agree, because the outer crust, the ice in Antarctica that surrounds the earth, is higher. You can maybe think of the oceans as the cheese, and the earth below it, maybe the sauce, or maybe more crust. I don't know how you want to put that. But that makes me, that brings me to my next question. What do we think is below the earth? What is under it? What's holding it up?
Oh, it's mostly rock.
I agree. It's got to be just rocks.
I
right?
disagree. I hate to be
Reed, how would you propose?
I hate to be not the devil's advocate, but the angel's advocate here, and tell y'all that while I do think that the earth goes infinitely downwards, it's just water down there.
Down where?
Underneath the earth. It's just water all the way down.
Okay.
Listen, you got at Antarctica, you got the foundations of Earth, right? And that's what the firmament stands on. And the firmament's like this big, like saline solution type of thing that's just hovering and keeping everything in place. It's like the big old bubble. And that's why, people think it's low gravity when they're really high up in the air, but really just things get a little thicker up there. And you got the firmament there, and then God lives on top of that in heaven, and it's just water all the way down. It's just water. This is from the book of Uncle Rick. And thusly I saw the water spill out before me, and it was everything. And most of the book of Uncle Rick is just saying that if you eat shellfish, you're a homosexual. But it has about 6 or 7 really good passages about how the earth is flat and God talking to Abraham.
Well, that's interesting as a fairy tale. So thank you, Reed. Moving along, though.
Yeah, I think it's old books before science, people were trying to explain these things, but these days maybe just for children.
Right. I agree.
Maybe just for children have these
everything
books.
That they say in the Bible holds up, and it gets justified later on by you eggheads in the science department. But I'm looking at trends. I'm looking at how things actually unfold, and it seems like this guy's been pretty on point. So if you don't mind, I think I'm going to side with him rather than you eggheads.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, as long as we still have you on the correct side of history.
And I said, "Lo God," in heaven, and there is earth before me, and it is flat. Uncle Rick, 2341.
Well, he's right
And the
about that
homo
one.
said no, and turned his back on God, and ate the shellfish. Rick, 41-1.
Well, I don't
All right, I read the wrong one. That was a wrong
We're
one.
not
That had nothing to do
concerned with
there. That's a
homosexuals
shellfish one.
here. We can
Surely
discuss
the
this
earth
some
is
other time.
flat, God said, just as the shellfish makes you lie with men. And it was good. Not the lying with men, but the earth being flat. That was a good part. God didn't say that was good.
Okay, Reed.
He thinks that's bad.
We didn't bring Dr. Yins on here today to discuss the Bible. You know he's a man of science, a man of logic. So let's move
I just
along
thought
here.
that, perhaps if we did a flat earth podcast, then it would be better to have all voices heard. That lets them know we're not a monolith.
Yours has been heard for a few minutes now.
The earth is pretty big, God said to Abraham. And lo, before him, there was an orc in bootcut jeans. And the orc said, come on in, the water's fine.
Thank you, Reed.
All right, let's get on to the next one. Well, Curtis, did you explain your rocks all the way down? Did you think it? Did you have anything different?
Dr. Yins and I both agreed it's mostly just rocks. There's not really much else to say.
It's mostly just rocks, yes.
All right. Well, I think it's water. And then let's talk about this is a source of contention for a lot of us. A lot of people believe that Garden of Eden and Mount Meru is at the North Pole. What do you guys think is the North Pole?
I think, when you say a lot of people believe Eden is at the North Pole, I think you're talking just about people like you who have, taken these Bible stories and just, not interpreted them as literal things. I think the North Pole is just a lot of ice at the middle. And I think it's where all the ice originally started. Because you see how middle of, when you heat something up in a microwave, the middle is coldest. So when the Earth was being formed, the middle was coldest.
That's another proof. The proof
That's
is
a
right there in your home.
for Reed.
Perfect.
And all the ice was in the middle, but as the Earth spun, it just kept going into Antarctica. And now
That's
the
why-
North Pole, if you look at the map, there's, how is it, the gumball map?
It's the gumball map. It's called the gumball map.
It's called the gumball map. Sorry, remembering some more university anecdotes. If you look at the gumball map, North Pole is very small compared to Antarctica. That's because most of the ice has moved out.
That's right. You can see that. So how many more years of North Pole ice we got left before all that just becomes Antarctica ice?
Well, I'll get to this in my theory, but it's difficult again for me by myself to make these calculations. It's a lot of volume and mass, and but
It's
I would
a lot
say
of numbers.
It's a lot of numbers, but I would say probably within the next, our children might still have a North Pole. Let's say.
That's good, because I personally, I think that the North Pole is just a bunch of ice and rocks, and ain't no need to go up there. But I also think, what are they hiding up there? And I also think I can't go because Carol's got a back thing. Curtis, what do you think at the North Pole?
I believe there's also ice, to be sure, but I
think we can all agree that there's ice at the North Pole.
Yeah, it's pretty much ice.
Yes, but I also believe that is where a grand facility is placed. That is where they keep the large magnetic device that keeps everything centered. And this is also ran by the United Nations. And this is sort of a miniature city where people live. It's a large station. And it's not Eden, as people would like to believe in the biblical sense. But I believe that the code name for it is Eden, and that's where these stories come from when people talk about the North Pole. The code name through the government is Eden for this facility.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's not.
That'd
It's
be
not
a good
cool.
movie.
It's rather it's a little bit
I
daunting.
mean, the name of it, they thought of a cool name. I'm just saying.
Well,
like,
then people want to believe that
it's
there's
scary
this
and it's bad
garden
and it needs
is
to
up
be
there,
shut
and they get
down.
into fairy tales and magic, and they start to dive.
I'm just saying it's cool.
They divert into theories like those insane Hollow Earth people who believe in magic and druids and
those boneheads at Hollow Earth.
Nonsense.
Those
Lord of the Rings
knuckleheads.
fantasies.
I don't know how
I
you
think
go-
dragons live.
how do you go about
those
believing?
Hollow Earth people are just, scientists faking it to make us look stupid by saying, Hollow Earth, they're just the scum of the earth. They're the lowest of the low. I try to be a nice man, but if I saw a Hollow Earther trapped
Hollow
underneath
Earthers are total
a rock,
kooks.
I wouldn't bat an eyelash back at them.
I may rip into you for your religious beliefs, but at least you know that the Earth is flat. At least people
we can
are
all agree that
total
the Earth
kooks.
is flat. The
They
Earth
want
is
to believe
flat.
in, they want to believe in
The sun
magic.
is far away, and it's mostly ice at the North Pole.
And there's rocks.
pretty much ice.
Mostly rocks down there.
That one I don't, moving on. I'm not going to go rehash that one. All right, so let's explain satellites.
Okay.
How do you think they stay up there, man?
They're held up there by balloons.
Good answer.
Yeah, they just, NASA's been mining these upward crystals that they put into the satellites, and then, they just stay up there, much like birds or hot air balloons.
Right.
It's the upwards force.
Yeah.
They're hung up by balloons, much like how the moon is a projection. Aurora Borealis and the stars, those are projected holograms. Meteor showers, they're just fireworks. Things like that.
I think that satellites, they hook up to the side of the firmament. In Antarctica, they take a whole heap of them down in their arms carrying them, and they pluck them on the wall there. And the firmament's kind of like a swirling kind of thing, and sooner or later they just get up there and they're stuck. Once they get up there past the clouds, and I like to imagine the satellites as kind of like looking at the sun and seeing the pretty lady that the sun is, and just kind of like being like little kind of teenage boys all peeking around the corner, like around there with their heads all stacked in a row, going like, "Oh, take a look at her." That's not, nothing. That's just something I like to think about.
I don't know how your
Let's
brain
go
works.
on to meteor showers. How would you guys tell me what a meteor shower is?
I just said they're fireworks. They couldn't be any simpler.
Sometimes it's fireworks, sometimes I believe it is, again, the sun flashing some of the sunlight, and it reflects off of the same satellites that are floating, and the satellites, they're moving fast, and it just looks, because the sun is turning, it just looks like this line of light in the sky.
I mean, yeah, that's what the sun looks like. Eyes don't lie.
It's true.
All right,
I'll
I think
agree
we've beat around the bush enough about this. Dr. Lenz Ljubljana. Am I saying that right?
Jens Ljubljana.
Yeah, that's what I said. Dr. Jens, tell us about this new theory that you pioneered.
So this new theory, we almost, touched on it in some of these points, and I just did not want to give parts of it away because I think it's really a theory that is better heard explained, with this layman's level. Because as you said, a lot of flat earthers, a lot of people who know the truth these days are self-educated, and I try to explain my theories in the simplest terms so that anyone can understand them. So this theory I came up with when I was, one day for breakfast, I was eating pancakes, a stack of pancakes, and just idly thinking about, things. And I noticed the first pancake, the one on top, ended up being much warmer than the pancake on the bottom.
That is interesting.
It's interesting. So this is the first point that then, I hung up in my mind, and it eventually came together into this theory. So I thought about, this summer, pretty warm. Some people are saying it keeps getting warmer this summer. And I was thinking, why is, 2017 this summer warmer than the last one? why is the pancake on top warmer than the one on the bottom? And what I started to realize, and this might be a mind-blowing theory. It's certainly for a week I could not, speak to anyone. I just stayed in my apartment and I wrote and wrote and wrote, and they made diagrams and all sorts of graphs. What I think is that the Earth is not only flat, is that in the model of the universe, there are several flat Earth parallels on top of each other, arranged similarly to a CD case with 7 CDs, one on top of one another. So,
I'm looking at my CD case right now, and I'm just imagining a bunch of different Earths, and that's crazy. I got my Garth Brooks, I got my, Jocko Mellencamp, and just going nuts thinking about that.
And so, think about it. The Earth below you also makes heat like this Earth, and the heat rises because of the upward. This is the upward energy I was talking about. There are heat crystals that are just naturally, it's like anti-gravity. Gravity goes down, and heat goes up.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
And so the heat reaches the top of the sky, and above the sky is the rock foundation for the next flat Earth. This is, when you think about it, for example, think about volcanoes. Why would a volcano shoot lava from below 100 kilometers? When you dig down, it's colder, right?
Because that's why basements are usually the coldest part of the house.
Basements are usually the coolest part of the house. So how come lava is so hot that it's like rock that is melting? It's because it's being heated up by the earth below.
It's been there the whole time.
And
that's
then,
nuts.
Later, after I sketched out this basic theory in a couple of days, and then I had this breakthrough that it just really puts everything into place. I was later a couple of days doing some crystal experiments, just focusing on the light because, as you know in physics, just light beams and this like rays, gamma rays, alpha rays, these are undeniable facts of physics.
Wow.
And I was doing experiments with crystals, and if going back to CDs, if you think about Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, you have seen this cover where it is a beam of light.
Classic album.
Beam of light shooting through a prism, and it turns into a rainbow. And
that's
think
amazing.
Think about the colors from top to bottom. The top
Roy
color
G. Biv
is red, then it's orange, then it's yellow, then it's green. You see, the top color is the warmer.
Yeah.
It's red. And I realized
fire's red.
Fire is red. And I was
and
sitting
water's
there,
blue.
And everything, at that moment, I could hear, the second shoe dropping. So, blue on the colors is water. Millions of years ago, there was no land. It was all water. And then land formed.
Yeah, I know.
Bit by bit. Then there was the Ice Age, which is light blue. Then there was the Golden Age of humanity, green, fields everywhere, everyone's farming. Now we are in the yellow one where things are heating up, things are starting to get warmer.
We're headed for a red phase.
We're headed for a red phase, orange color of lava. All I'm saying is within the next 100 years, expect more volcanoes, expect more lava streams, and expect more fires.
That's bad news.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me, but I don't like that it makes a lot of sense to me.
That's bad news. I understand why people don't believe in stuff like this because that allows them to just keep their head under the sand.
Right.
Exactly. We really have to wake up to this and start preparing for this. We have to start preparing for all the lava going everywhere. And, we have to ensure that we can make it through because after red, we go back to purple and we will begin new purple sort of age where it's all after all the water is evaporated and all it's heating up and it's lava, the rain starts falling back down to make all the water. So we have this purple rain sort of stage.
Whoa.
So we go.
I mean, it's bad news about the lava. I don't like hearing that at all.
Well,
When I tell Carol, she's gonna be pissed.
So you say we're headed to a red phase. We agree that, it's easy to ignore this stuff. Just say it's not real. Plug your ears. It makes me think of the Matrix. Morpheus offers Neo the blue pill or the red pill. You take the blue pill and everything stays the same. Nothing changes.
Water.
And the truth,
it's a water pill.
The truth is withheld from you. You take the
red
pill.
Was filled with lava.
No, the red pill. Well,
wait, I'm not following.
The red pill is opening your eyes to the truth, to this flat Earth, and to what Dr. Gins is talking about, possibly this red phase that's coming. So I don't know. It's very, very
I love
prophetic
that Matrix movie. That Matrix movie was pretty badass. I remember I watched the only good one to me though. Like the first one's the second one's pretty cool.
What did you like about the second one?
I remember watching those. I thought I saw an angel. I thought I saw two angels when I was watching that movie, right? Because I was, I walked in on it and never seen it before. And Carol's watching these two, guys in, white leather suits doing all kinds of karate moves and going invisible. And I'm like, holy guacamole, was that? These guys, they instantly instantly thought they were angels.
All right, well.
Those albino twins, man, that's cool.
They are cool. Well, thank you, Dr. Gins, for blowing our minds.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me this platform to share my theory. And, if anyone wants to email me about this theory, please contact me, lublana@yandex.ru. Email me. I will write back. I'm very eager to discuss and share my diagrams.
Absolutely.
I have some questions regarding the model that I'm extremely curious about.
Please.
Now, you'd mentioned earlier that we were mining upwards crystals. Now, what do they look like and what do they do? How do we hold on to upwards crystals if they just float off? Do we attach them to things? Are they a power source that moves stuff up?
So yes, they are a power source that moves stuff up. Very, very interesting because almost like glass, if they're very small, you cannot see them because it's too small. But when you make the bigger ones, they start becoming visible. And I, of course, asking me how I would love to describe to you how we look. I would love to have the answer for this, but the truth is that most of the actual upward crystal production on this Earth is being controlled by NASA and the government. And they're putting them directly into satellites. They're not showing them, We don't want
They don't want us to know about the upwards crystals.
Exactly.
Now, are there downwards crystals, or is downwards just
downwards
gravity?
Is just gravity, yes.
Okay. Now, these upwards crystals, I'm assuming they're very hot.
Yes, of course. This is the same as this. The heat is just a very small amount of, almost trace element of this upward crystal. So a bigger one you could imagine would be very hot.
It'd be pretty hot. What if the sun's just a giant upwards crystal? That's something to look into. Somebody should go up there and take a look at that thing. I had another question, and this is kind of or more of a comment. A way I think that would be easier for our listeners to imagine this, right? Mm-hmm. Is you got the stack of pancakes, and each pancake is a different Earth.
Yes.
And these upward crystals, I want you to imagine taking a big old tab of butter and smearing them. And they're hot and they melt. So you smearing the butter on the pancakes. And you smear it in there, and it's going to kind of add a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of lubrication between the worlds that kind of heat each other up. So if you want to imagine the upwards crystals, butter on a pancake, and of course water would be the syrup that you pour on them to cool them down and keep them on each other.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well,
I think butter would go downwards, so it would be more of a model of how gravity works.
Yeah, that's probably a better answer than why. Hey, you're the scientist, man.
All right. Well, moving along from Reed's food comments. I know he loves to talk about food, but we talk about.
Come on, man.
Dr. Yin's, your new theory. We talk about our theories, but not only do we have the flat Earth, but I want to take this moment to maybe discuss the other. The other wool that's been pulled over our eyes, per se. I know, Reed, you believe in some things that Not even doesn't even have to do with the flat Earth, just things that are being kept from us.
Oh, I think there's tons of stuff being kept to us. I think that all these things play in together in a just worldwide government conspiracy. And, you know, I was just a normal guy a couple years ago. I didn't pay attention to none of this stuff. And I just, you know, I started going to a new church. A lot of things really started, you know, opening my eyes. And I realized that government uses a lot of different methods of control. And one thing, I'm a big anti-aspartame guy. You guys heard about aspartame?
Right, it's terrible for you.
It's awful. It's mind control. It's going to make...
That's another form of fluoride.
It makes your kids gay, and it makes your gay kids retarded. I think that's what aspartame does. I've learned a lot. I got my new church. I go down there to Terre Haute. I live in Terre Haute. I go to the Terre Haute Supermax Federal Prison, where I go to the New Beginnings Church, right? They let me into prison for about 3 hours every Sunday, and Reverend Gary the Blade Shanice has taught me a lot of new things. So I've been me and the Blade have been talking a lot, and he just has this crazy Bible that he's been giving me. It's got a lot of cool drawings and stuff in it, and it's just, you know, he's a big anti-shellfish guy, so I've had to remove that because I just ate a lot of crab legs. I ate a lot of stuff like that. It's been tough to give that up, but you know, things are looking pretty good for me on that front. I got a passage from the book of Uncle Rick I'd like to read to y'all real quick.
All right.
And even if you guys don't believe in this, I think you can see the parallels in a lot of it.
Okay.
And the orc spoke to Abraham, and he said, "Where did you get those pants?" And Abraham said, staring at the denim, "Why, I don't know." And then God said, "The earth is very big and very flat." I'd like to read another passage real quick from the book of Uncle Rick. "And as he ingested the shellfish, he looked at the orc, and he felt sin in his heart. And he said to God, 'God, I don't think you should let us eat shellfish.' And God said, 'All right.'"
You know, of these stories of orcs and such things, I find difficult to believe as existing. I think they're more just...
Listen, prove me wrong, all right?
They're not literal.
Shut up, prove me wrong. All right,
I just think it's, you know, it's just distracting past a certain age to believe in these things, and to... You have, you know,
I feel like you guys are ganging up on me.
Come on, Reed. We're not. We're trying to
Just
focus
normal
on...
Mr. Reed Gimble being myself, all right?
We're just trying
I
to
gotta
focus...
take nothing from no Dr. Yenzelmania or no Curtis Hong. I'm just me. I'm just Reed. All right. So
we
let's
know you're
move
just
on, because
Reed.
I don't want to get, you know, I don't
I'm
want
just
this to
saying
be
you
another
We're just
a
saying
Reed spanking
we're
session.
trying to talk about the flat Earth, and you're trying to talk about an orc in bootcut jeans. For God's sake!
I mean,
Come
it's
on.
the book of Uncle Rick. Reverend Gary the Blade Shanice and I have been going over it, poring over it, create new ideas. It takes a long time to get approval to get into federal supermax and to convince the warden to let you go hang out with the prisoners. But
Okay.
I did it, all right, and it's important work we're doing. So
Well-
you guys ain't the only ones. We're pioneering new territory too. All right, let's move on, because I'm getting all sweaty. I'm getting heated. Carol's poking her head in here, seeing what I'm getting so red about. I don't want to do this no more. So let's go on. We're gonna start talking about celebrities in the flat Earth, the celebrity faces of flat Earth, and people are coming around.
There's
You can
quite a
tell
few.
this movement's sweeping up.
Come to our side. Come on, guys.
And you
All
know,
right.
Yeah, plenty of room.
fantastic win for our team because they're highly visible. You know.
The rapper B.O.B. I don't care for rap music, but he said the Earth is flat, and he had a song called Airplanes. And if you're in an airplane and you look out at the horizon, that sucker's flat.
Well, it's interesting because that song is almost a little bit cryptic, but if you have knowledge of these theories, then you'll understand what he's saying. He says, we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars. And I think maybe he right there is introducing a theory that maybe the stars are airplanes that are being put up there.
It would make sense. A meteor is, if you look at an airplane lifting off, it has lights. It moves fast.
You could have an airplane up there, and you can make it all out of mirror material, and so the sun would hit it, and it'd look like a star.
See, Reed,
that could explain the stars.
Sometimes,
too.
every now and then, you'll just come up with something that I will completely eat up, and I don't understand why you can't always be like this.
I don't want to get into this, Curtis. All right.
Well, moving along.
We got also Shaquille O'Neal, a big flat earther.
O'Neal. What? Who's better to say when the Earth is flat? Everyone says it's curved. Shaquille O'Neal is a tall guy. He can see. He can see far away. He can tell you. No, it's
Look,
flat.
this guy plays basketball. He holds a sphere in his hand. Who's going to know the sphere better than anyone?
He's tall. He can look at the horizon, which, even the horizon proves that the Earth is flat, right? Because in painting, the horizon, right, is a point of infinite distance away. And that's impossible because the human brain cannot comprehend infinity.
We can't see it.
You can't think about infinity because you can keep counting and you'll just never get there.
Well, it's kind of like an 8 turned on its side, so I can think of it.
Yeah, but like the concept of it, that's just a symbol. Now, I can take that infinity symbol, and I'm closing my eyes right now, and I'm imagining it, and I'm rotating it, right? I'm rotating that 3D infinity symbol, and it kind of looks like a Windows 95 screensaver. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. All right, and I got it, all right? And so I just got one infinity symbol, right? And I'm closing my eyes. I'm still thinking, all right, I'll think about 2 infinity symbols rotating, and I'm splitting it, and it's 4, and it's 8, and it's 16, and I can't do 32. I try to do 32. I can't do it. Human beings aren't meant to comprehend numbers above 20.
That's a rough estimate, I would say, but
I think real brainiacs could probably comprehend 32 rotating infinity signs, but I just think most people cannot.
At this point, we have computers for that sort of stuff.
We can have computers generate us all those images, right? Computers can handle it because they're not human.
Right.
Exactly.
Another flat Earth celeb, Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now that little sucker,
he's a champion.
He's LeBron James's best friend, and they play basketball together. And he's probably getting in LeBron's ear, telling him, like, hey, when we fly to a different city for a different game, I want you to look at that horizon. That sucker's flat, right?
Mm-hmm. And think about it. 2 basketballers, 2 tall guys. Again,
they're sitting there, right? They're in their airplane. They're in their first-class airplane sitting next to each other. And they're both holding basketballs because they're basketball players in the airplane. And he says, that sucker's flat, looking out the window. And then as a teaching moment, Kyrie Irving pops LeBron James basketball that he has sitting there in his lap, and it deflates. And when it's completely flat and they're both just looking at it deflate, Kyrie Irving says, hey, that's more like it.
There's all kinds of celebrities becoming more and more involved in this stuff. And, they've been for decades, celebrities, Hollywood, the music industry, athletes have been involved or have hidden even these kinds of things from the public. So it's great that these people are coming out and they're speaking out with it. People like Madonna, she's a reptilian. That woman, that leathery woman is a lizard for sure. You see, in a lot of her music videos, she blinks sideways. Taylor Swift.
She blinks sideways like George W. Bush did.
Taylor Swift is MK Ultra. And coming back to basketball again, there seems to be a connection I'm seeing. Brian Reeves, Big Country of the Memphis Grizzlies. He has Sasquatch blood. If you don't believe me, you can just look at him. He has DNA of a Bigfoot, and these things exist.
Listen, because it was an arms race, right? Because America was scared of Yao Ming, right? Because he was 9 feet tall, right? That's not normal.
That's freakish.
So when they bring that 9 feet tall guy into the basketball league, and he's dunking from the free throw line and not jumping up, and he's playing like Gumby, right? And they're thinking, all right, Yao Ming's here. We gotta step our game up because he got Yeti blood. They gave him Yeti blood.
Well, you know where many of the Nordic, the tall people, got their genes, right? I've spoken to you about the Pleiadians.
Yeah, for our listeners, please remind us what the Pleiadians are.
Well, they come from from the stellar system surrounding the Pleiades stars. They are alien, Nordic aliens, as we call them. Some refer to them as elves in the old stories. They are tall. They have an albino appearance, but when their genes are passed down to humans, it changes. That explains Yao Ming. People like that may possibly have their genes, but
in order to combat that, we gave Bryant Reeves, big country Bryant Reeves of Norman, Oklahoma, population 400. And now we went down there and we shot him full of Sasquatch blood.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's perfect. It makes sense to me.
The Pleiadians, they brought dolphins to Earth. And we know this because JFK, John F. Kennedy's spirit, was contacted a human through automatic writing to tell us so. People say that, I'm not religious, but I will agree that Jesus existed. Jesus was a Pleiadian, so was his father. And his mother was a Lyran, which is a different kind of alien, but I won't get into that.
Holy moly! And I don't believe in
nothing. They love sex. The Pleiadians do, not Jesus and his family. Though they must too if they're Pleiadians. I don't
think Jesus never had sex.
I'm listening to this alien theory, and at first I was skeptic. When you started with a reptilian, sounded like more orc stuff. But thinking about it, what if these aliens are just humans from above the flat Earth above us that have took the time to drill down and come down into the previous Earth?
Well, the Pleiadians are helping us fight evil space reptiles, reptoids, as part of the battle against the Illuminati. They're old creationists. They think the Earth is 626 billion years old.
Pretty old.
The Pleiadians are apparently truthers, as I read to say.
And I know you guys don't like to hear this, all right? But when we talk about the Bible predicting stuff, I have a passage here for you from the book of Uncle Rick. And the elf came down to man, and he gave him shellfish. And the man looked at the elf lustfully. And then there was a loud thunderclap heard, and it was God fighting an orc.
I don't understand the meaning of the passage.
The elf is a Pleiadian. It predicted that shit. And Pleiadians brought us dolphins, but they also brought us shellfish. And if we connect that to the Pleiadians, that elf brought shellfish, right? The Pleiadian.
Okay.
If he brought shellfish, that passage also proves the existence of orcs.
Okay. So if you don't think of it in a literal sense,
maybe orc is just this Bible was written in a different language, so maybe orc and Pleiadian might be just.
They might be fallen Pleiadians.
I think it's just a different word for the same thing, and I think actual orcs, like how they show on the TV shows and stuff, I think that's fantasy.
No,
I'm pretty sure orcs exist. I'm pretty sure.
They could have also been.
Reverend Gary the Blade Shanice has told me many times, look out for orcs when I'm leaving. And I know what he means. And I know the orcs is going to be wearing bootcut jeans.
Well, if they're literal or it's a metaphor, one can't truly say for sure. But I think we can agree that these are things that we have to keep looking into.
Another celebrity that we forgot to mention. Two more celebrities, but the first one's Tequila. Y'all ever seen her?
Ooh, yes.
She likes lesing out on TV. I think she was lesing out on TV for a while.
Right. She had her own show.
Then she got done lesing out, and now she posts on the internet all day. And she's a big truther. 9/11 was an inside job. Aspartame, Makes your kid eat shellfish and just all kinds of weird shit. Just, she loves that stuff. She eats it up. And she's just a little hot to trot total lesbo. And I'm into that.
She's also completely aware of the, the power of the Bilderberg group, the Rothschild, the Jews, how they, made the Holocaust and how they, all about that. She knows all about that. So I'm glad
and that goes all the way up to NASA.
Oh, yes. Let's get into NASA.
And, I don't want to be racist, but if I'm thinking about that spotlight you mentioned more and more, I bet I know what kind of people them 150 are.
Right.
I bet I know. And I'm not going to say it.
You can say it.
But they're Jews. They're Jewish people.
Okay.
They control the spotlights and the really cool Eden base at the North Pole. That's just cool name. That's just, I hate them. I hate that, but that is a cool name, man.
I mean, you got to have something that's memorable that sticks in people's minds. But
I mean, you're not a lot of people will know about it, but the ones that do it has to really stick to them.
Oh, I gotta ask you this, Dr. Yans. You need a cool name for your theory, right? What was it? I suggest calling it pancake theory.
Pancake theory. Yeah, I think I was thinking either pancake theory or CD stack theory.
I mean, they're both really. They're now. When you have your CDs stacked on the CD tray, are they in the case or are they just out?
No. When
I want you to turn your head to the right and look at your CD case and tell me.
There's some outdays there. There's some outdays.
I will.
Just keep listening to the Red Hot Chili Pepper album and just keep popping it back in. So at some point I just figured putting it back in the box is just
which
extra time.
Which CD do you think our Earth is?
Well, I think our Earth is this is. I haven't done the math on it, but I'm thinking out of the 7 CDs, it's probably CD3.
Okay.
Currently. It can't be number 1, as I love this Earth, and I think in some ways we are number 1, but obviously these aliens have to come from above us somewhere, so we can't be 1.
Right.
So
that means we could have a whole nother world behind us.
We do. I think we do. And that's a world that is making it
if I'm looking at my CD case, and I don't know why this came up to me. I got the first 3. I don't think the first 3 on top is Earth. I'm thinking we might be smack in the middle at CD number 4 or CD number 3. And both my CD 3 and CD 4 is Chris Gaines, The Life of Chris Gaines CD. So I think we're the Chris Gaines CD.
I happen to disagree. I think no matter where we are in the stack, our Earth is probably Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. So
Classic album by a bunch of rock and rollers from Los Angeles. I love it.
Wouldn't it be awful if we drilled to the bottom of this Earth and we're the bottom pancake?
And what's below the bottom pancake?
I don't think we are, because then we would not be heating up.
Right.
Oh, you're right.
Doesn't make sense.
We're getting those upwards crystals. Maybe the society below us is using far too many upwards crystals.
I think this is